Hello and welcome. You're watching Newsx with me, Devika Devan. Leaders and activists of the Inquilab Mancha in Bangladesh have reportedly demanded that the work permits of Indians working in the country must be revoked. The group's statement has come amid the controversy over the killing of student leader in Inquilab Mancha spokesperson Shaheed Osman Hadi. Inquilab Mancha has announced a 4-point plan or demand from the interim government. According to the Protham Alo, these 4-point demands are, first of all, those involved in Hadi's killings, perpetrators, planners and accomplices must be arrested and brought to justice within 24 days. Second, the interim government must cancel the work permits of Indians working in Bangladesh to maintain the country's independence and sovereignty. Third, if India refuses to return all murderers who have sought refuge in who have sought refuge in our nation, a case should be filed against India at the International Court of Justice. And fourth, the government must prosecute the Awami League's allies in civil, military and intelligence arenas. Meanwhile, the Inquilab Mancha leaders and activists have been holding a sit-in at Dhaka's Shahbag intersection since Friday afternoon, demanding the arrest and trial of Hadi's killers. Moreover, after Inquilab Mancha's no justice, no election 24-day ultimatum, Yunus government has fast-tracked the trial of Hadi's murderers. Joining us on the broadcast, if I can have the guests please for my reference as well. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, Major Sudhakarji with us. I also have with me Pathikrit and Professor Madhav Nalapat. Let me begin with Ambassador Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, as far as these ultimatums are now concerned, ma'am, what do you make of the current political situation that's stirring up in Bangladesh ahead of these February elections? We're hearing a lot of news coming in now of ultimatums being given to the Yunus government. Firstly, what do you make of that, ma'am? And secondly, what does this mean for Hindus in Bangladesh?
Ultimatum given, Devika, to the Yunus government is for the Yunus government to deal with. Ultimatums being given to us, we should deal with in a steely, determined and tough manner. As an example, they want to cancel residence permits or visas of Indians with Indian passport holders in Bangladesh. Fine. They are running very important jobs for them as advisors. Send them back. No problem. If any Indian is mad enough as an Indian passport holder to have decided to stray across the border and stay in Bangladesh, they should come back and we should send them immediately for psychiatric examination. In the meantime, we should, as I have said in one of your earlier shows, we should take some tough measures. First tough measure that we should take is we should immediately cancel the 200 million tons, I think Professor Nalapat will correct me if I'm wrong, of rice. That's the second installation that they have demanded. We should stop it. They have not paid their electricity bills for a long time. We should cut off electricity. We should make it clear to them that we are fortifying the entire border and we should complete the electrification. There are large areas which are not yet electrified and fenced. We should do that. As for the rest, it's for Muhammad Yunus to deal with. The Tariq has said that this guy was murdered by people within the Yunus administration. This is a made-up story by Yunus administration that 2 murderers have crossed into Meghalaya and that we are shielding them. We are not shielding anybody. On the other hand, if they try to threaten us, this is what we should do. If they try to threaten our diplomatic presence there, we should reduce our diplomatic presence immediately, shut down our consulates, fly in Indo-Tibetan Border Force people to man our embassy like we did in Kabul for a very long time. Very, very long time. We had professional protection sent from India, and we should similarly cut down their diplomatic presence here and send 80% of them back to Dhaka. That's what we should do. These kind of threats and coming from a country that we thought we had a major role in creation, because for them language and culture is more important than religion, has turned out to be as visceral and as anti-Indian as Pakistan. It's a very big letdown for people like us who come actually from that part of Bengal, Devika. I come from what we used to call East Bengal, Bengal. I'm a proper Bengal, as they say in Bengali. So it's a great disappointment that people can behave like this. But we are not cowed down by these ridiculous threats. And finally, I would say, Devika, just look up what percentage of the Bangladeshi population does this so-called movement or munch have? How do they matter? They don't matter at all. If free and fair elections are held, they will be wiped out. If elections are held without Awami League, they will be wiped out also. In any case, they have no political future. Devika.
Ji, bring you into the conversation as well. So I want to understand from your perspective, a lot of threats now coming in from certain portions of politically motivated groups in Bangladesh, such as the Inquilab Mancha, when they come and say that the interim government must cancel the work permits of Indians working in Bangladesh. What would happen if we were to do the same to all the Bangladeshis living in India, sir? Major Sudhakar ji, can you hear me?
Oh, that question is for me? Okay, I'm sorry. Good evening, and thank you for getting me for your show, and compliments to distinguished co-panelists. Well, I think the Ambassador ma'am has outlined certain red lines indirectly or directly. My take on the whole issue is, you see, there are multiple options which emerge. And multiple options, they fall under the domain of contain the situation, counter, and then contest. But I think the water has gone beyond the level of nose. India has to take very drastic and very tough measures now. And when you talk about the tough measures, it has to gravitate from non-kinetic passive leverages to active leverages. When I talk about the passive leverages, they include 54 rivers are flowing into Bangladesh from India, including Faraka Barrage. And if I respect my memory, like Indus Treaty, we also have a treaty with Bangladesh, and it is governed by or driven by the centrality of the treaty, most probably is also something on the paradigm of or goodwill gesture, subject to goodwill gesture of the host country or the lower riparian country. That treaty should hold good. So similar kind of measures should be considered. I'm sure people in South Block or Mandarins on the subject are already doing it. Water is one issue. Power is second issue. The power which is transiting from Nepal into Bangladesh through India and from Bhutan to Bangladesh, that also can be leveraged. Our trade, we are one of the largest trading partners of Bangladesh, supply of cotton, and likewise. So when they say that they are going to revoke the work permit, one option is to tit for tat. The second option is calibrate. Because if you do that, tit for tat, well, it will have much more severe repercussions for Bangladesh than that of India. As on today, we have almost the official figures from open source is around 4 crores of illegal migrants or Bangladeshis here in India. But unofficially, I'm given to say the statistics indicate close to 10 crores of illegal Bangladeshis in India, which is very alarming and actually makes you to disbelieve this fact. So having said that, I feel the military component has to come into play. When I say the military component, there are issues with regard to the maritime transportation, issues with regard to cross-border activities, issues with regard to tightening the noose around the border of 4,098 kilometers. So all these, I think the red herring has come. India has to set its course for from non-kinetic to a kinetic measure in a calibrated manner, and after having carried out a sort of a military analysis, because everything we do, that willy-nilly will always draw India into such a kind of a conflict which may well fall into the orientation of a long-drawn conflict, long-drawn war, which India should avoid. So therefore, at the moment, I personally feel the non-passive or the non-active or the passive measures have to be identified, which will give us leverages, and we should be able to derive maximum mileage out of these from the present situation. But as we get closer to the elections, there are other dynamics which we need to keep in mind. The BNP has started allying with the Jamaati. There are 30 members who are opposed to this alliance or coming in proximity. I am given to understand that the seats are also being shared, which is a very, very dangerous sign. Whether elections will take place or not, even if it takes place, the outcome is anybody's guess. So under these circumstances, I personally feel military to military contact is very, very important. And I am given to understand the Chief of the Army Staff, General Dwivedi, has had a long conversation with the Chief of the Bangladesh Army. And if I have to define the points, ballpark points, which require some kind of a holistic redressal, the first and foremost thing that needs to be looked into in detail in a comprehensive manner is the police force. The police force is hand in gloves with Yunus, with Jamaitis. They are not taking any action to prevent any minority prosecution. They are not taking any action, any kind of lynching which is actually fostering, which may actually blow up. They don't even take any action to prevent a potential, the flashpoint. So the police has to be addressed. Second thing is the policies and the implementation. The bureaucrats who are responsible for the implementation of the policies also need to be taken into consideration. So maybe military to military thing could actually pave way for preventing any kind of disastrous move which Bangladesh is heading to.
Okay, all right. I want to bring in Professor Nalapat as well. Professor Nalapat, would you then agree with some of the suggestions that have been made by the previous panelists, and particularly on the aspect of the military as well as, or rather before the military, Professor Nalapat, what is it that India can do to now create some sort of a pressure on Bangladesh to really get its house in order?
Devika, all I can say is that whoever is planning this kind of strategy against India has got a very clear end game in mind. Don't forget the International Criminal Court is the court that convicted Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, of all kinds of horrible things, war crimes, etc. And the International Criminal Court, quite frankly, has, some people believe its judgments are very biased. And if you look at a record of the judgments, you'll find that generally they are in favor of the petitioner, whoever or whatever that petitioner is. So I would like to say, let's not downplay significance of this. It would be more than an embarrassment if the International Criminal Court were to issue arrest warrants against those they feel responsible for the so-called murder of this Bangladeshi national, who was clearly himself, he was a part of a very violent group, and he has basically been responsible for the murder of so many Hindus. But that the evidence will not be presented to the International Criminal Court. The Bangladesh government will present false evidence. So I would like to say, Devika, we cannot downplay the significance of this. While the two discussions are brilliant, they made brilliant arguments, I would like to point out that there is a game plan, and that game plan could be to embarrass our government by trying to find some senior figures of the government guilty of of crimes against humanity. We have to watch out for that, Devika.
Okay, all right. Pathikrit, bringing you into the conversation as well. Would you agree with that assessment, Pathikrit, that there is the ability today in Bangladesh to reach the International Court of Justice or any other global forum and actually create some sort of an embarrassment for India?
No, there is nothing like that. I mean, see, let me put it. I and Ambassador Mukherjee, we have the advantage of knowing the Bengali language, so we know what's exactly happening over there. See, let me put it. What is being planned is a revolution against the revolution. So this is exactly what happens when you have fake, manipulated, ouster of governments. So basically, what this thing right now is being done by Inquilab Mancha, and there are people who are supporting it. From behind, there are shadow players. They want to actually ensure that no election takes place in Bangladesh. Okay, so that is the thing. And let me put it, NCP as an organization which became a political party from that so-called movement, which I call it's a fake movement. Today, look at the credibility there. They are getting into an agreement with Jamaat for the election. Out of 300 seats in the Bangladesh parliament, for which the contest would happen, they have agreed to only for 30 seats. So they are actually showing where their actual, the reality check is. A lot of people have left NCP because they are aligning with Jamaat, and these people are joining the Inquilab Mancha because for them right now, the biggest enemy is Yunus. See what has happened inside. Let me put it this way, the guy who shot Osman Hadi was inside jail, who was bailed twice by a lawyer whose name is Shishir Monir, who is a Jamaat-e-Islami lawyer. And from Dhaka to reach India border, it takes hours. They had enough time to catch hold of that guy. They did not want to. Osman Hadi himself had pleaded for security because he said in interviews he was getting security threats. The Yunus government did not provide him a security. So the entire thing is a setup which a lot of people inside Bangladesh know. Now they have no option but to point fingers at India because that's the best thing they can do to, number one, to completely whitewash the complete misgovernance they have done themselves in the last 16 months. And at the same time, please understand, there are bigger political churning happening within Bangladesh. BNP at one point of time was contesting against Awami League, which was their biggest competitor. Today, Awami League being out of the contention, for BNP, the biggest challenge is Jamaat-e-Islami. So they will keep on pointing fingers at each other. If you look at the Jamaat, what they are saying that Tariq Rahman has returned to Bangladesh with approval from India. And at the same time, Inquilab Mancha is accusing everyone else that India is responsible for the killing and whatever. Now, if they want to throw out all the Indians, please do that. They came out with a fake figure, 26 lakh Indians work in Bangladesh before the coup. They could not even identify one person. They said they will cancel all agreements with India. Not a single agreement has been cancelled because they know that those agreements actually benefit Bangladesh. Most of the major multinational corporations do not have a head office in Bangladesh. Their South Asia headquarters is in India. They send people to Bangladesh for all kind of corporate activities. Their metro rail, their train will stop working if the engineers do not go from India. If they want to do it, fine. So I agree with what Ambassador Mukherjee said, that we should have some non-kinetic pressure. If there are covert operations happening, I'm not aware of it, so I will not comment on that. But non-kinetic measures in terms of reducing power supply, in terms of reducing food supply, let the Yunus government face the pressure. And I think we right now we should fortify ourselves. I agree to that. Have a hands-off policy. Let them fight it out with each other. Bangladesh, I will not be surprised if it is getting towards a civil war. Bangladesh, not a civil war, but a civil anarchy. Because Bangladesh, number one, has a history of political violence. Today, they do not trust each other. Their economy has gone. Yunus does not want this election himself to happen. Because the ones who put him in that place want to continue. So you would see a lot of things happening before the election. And this entity, Inquilab Mancha, has become the new galvanizing force to counter anyone who is in government. Previously, they were countering Sheikh Hasina. Today they are countering Yunus. Their ultimate objective is one: do not allow elections to happen. This suits the agenda of those who planted Yunus to come into Bangladesh and create a chaos on the eastern borders of India, so that you have Pakistan and Bangladesh on both sides to contain India.
Okay.
Remember, for the West, China is today's problem, India is a problem for tomorrow. That is the game. We must
Okay.
have a hands-off policy
Okay.
and fortify ourselves, which we are doing.
Yes, Ambassador Mukherjee, 30 seconds, ma'am.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. I wanted to say two things. One, of course, fully agreeing with Pathikrit, and to say that the revolution has reached the stage when it devours itself. That's part of history, those who study history. As far as International Criminal Court is concerned, because I was ambassador in Netherlands, I know how it functions. A non-state party to the ICC cannot take another non-state party to the ICC. Bangladesh is a non-state party to the ICC, and so is India. Therefore, they cannot take anybody to the ICC. It will not be entertained at all. In the case of Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel was taken to the ICC by a state party.
Okay.
When you are not a state party, you have no liability, and the state party concerned who wants to take you has no power at all. So therefore, apart from devouring the revolution and making extremely foolish remarks, they also need to Google and quickly find out what is the ICC, what can it do, and to whom it can do what. ICC today has become an organ selectively targeting black African countries because it was the black Africans who signed on the Rome Statute. We refuse to do so because according to the ICC, Devika, if you sign the statute, one head of state does not have impunity against international law. For that reason, US has not ratified it, China has not ratified it, Russian Federation has not ratified it, India has not ratified it.
Right, absolutely. On that note, I've completely run out of time, but I thank all of our guests for joining us to take that conversation forward. We step into a very short break.